Hello everyone, and welcome to part 1 of our 9th grade math course. Today, we'll be writing and evaluating numerical expressions. There will be 4 parts to today's video. First, we'll write numerical expressions. Next, we will evaluate numerical expressions. Following that, we'll write numerical expressions with real-world examples. Finally, we will evaluate numerical expressions using real-world examples. And when each part is completed, I will provide you with practice problems to work on. Enough with the intro, let's get started. Let's start with writing numerical expressions. These are just math problems represented by numbers and operations that come from word problems. Operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Here are a few examples. The first example is the difference of 50 and 35. This basically means 35 is being subtracted from 50, or is being taken away from 50. So we can write that as 50 minus 35. The next example says 12 less than 20, which is basically 20 minus 12. Now let's move on to the next example, which says 9 times the sum of 1 plus 2. 9 times, so 9 times the sum of 1 plus 2. So we've put parentheses 1 plus 2. Now, most of you might be wondering why we put the parentheses around 1 plus 2. Well, it's because here it says the sum of, and when it says that, that indicates that the addition has to be, you have to do the addition before you do anything else. So we put a parentheses around 1 plus 2, so which indicates that you have to do 1 plus 2 first, and then multiply it by 9. So if we do this problem, 1 plus 2 equals 3, and 3 times 9 is 27. So with the parentheses, we get the answer 27. But if we didn't have the parentheses, then it would look like this: 9 times 1 plus 2. So let's solve here. In PEMDAS, we have to multiply first before addition. So 9 times 1 is 9, and 9 plus 2 is 11, which is totally different than 27. So when you have problems like this, you have to pay attention to what it says, and in here it says the sum of, which means you have to put the parentheses. That is why we put the parentheses around 1 plus 2. Here's a pro tip: always read the words carefully, because the order of operations matter, and what's in parentheses affects how we solve it, just like we saw in the last example. Here are 2 practice examples for you guys to try. Pause the video, and when you're ready to and when you've answered, then hit play. So the first example is the sum of 10 and 12 multiplied by 4. So the sum of indicates you have to put parentheses. So first we put parentheses 10 plus 12 multiplied by 4, so times 4. So let's move on to the next example. 5 times the difference of 14 and 6. The difference indicates we have to put parentheses. So first we put 5 times parentheses 14 minus 6. So that is the expression. Now let's talk about evaluating numerical expressions. This basically means solving them, and we'll use the PEMDAS rule to help us. PEMDAS rule is parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division from left to right, and addition and subtraction from left to right. Now let's try an example. 3 times 4 minus 8 plus 4 to the power of 2 times 2 plus 5. This might look hard and confusing, but it's actually very easy to do. So let's solve. So first we have to do inside the parentheses, which is 2 plus 5. And 2 plus 5 equals 7. Now we have to do the exponent because that comes next in the PEMDAS rule. So 4 to the power of 2 is 16. Don't forget we have to put parentheses. Now let's move on to the next step, which is multiplying 16 by 7. 16 times 7 is 112. Now the equation looks like this. And the next step what we're going to do is we're going to subtract. So 4 minus 8 is negative 4. So now the equation looks like this. The next step we're going to do is addition. So negative 4 plus 112 is 108. And now we just have to multiply by 3. And 3 times 108 is 324. So the final answer is 324. Now let's move on to another example, which is 9 times 1 plus 6 divided by 5 to the power of 2 minus 4. So this has division in it, which looks hard, but it actually isn't hard because we will follow the PEMDAS rule. So first we see there are parentheses, so first we do the parentheses. 1 plus 6 is 7. Now the problem looks like this. And the next thing we do is the exponent. So 5 to the power of 2 is 25. The next step is to multiply 9 by 7. So 9 times 7 is 63. And this is how the problem will look now. The next thing we do is divide 63 by 25. And 63 divided by 25 is 2.52 or 2.52. Now the problem looks like this. And the last thing we will do to figure out the answer is subtract 2.52 minus 4. And the answer to that is negative 1.48. So our final answer to this problem is negative 1.48. Okay, so now we will solve these practice problems. And for you guys at home, you guys can pause this video and try the problems yourself. So first, let's try this problem. 4 plus 6 times parentheses 2 to the power of 2 minus 1 parentheses. So first thing we do is inside the parentheses, and first we have to do the exponents. So 2 to the power of 2 is 4, and minus 1 is 3. So now we've got that 6 times 3 plus 4. So next thing we're going to do is multiplication. So 6 times 3 is 18. And now we get the problem 4 plus 18, which is going to be 22. So the final answer is 22. Now let's move on to the next example, which is parentheses 3 plus 2 parentheses times 5 minus 9 divided by 3. So first thing we're going to do is inside the parentheses, so 3 plus 2 is 5, and let's put parentheses around it, and times 5 minus 9 divided by 3. 5 times 5 is 25, minus 9 divided by 3. And the next thing we're going to do is division. So 9 divided by 3 is 3, minus 25. 25 minus 3 is 22. So our final answer is 22. So now we move on to part 3, which is writing numerical expressions with real-world examples. First, let's say we want to find the average of a student's test scores. To do that, we add all the scores and divide by the number of tests. So, for example, let's say Ryan scored 75, 98, 93 or 92, and 83 on his recent test scores. So how we would find the average test score is by adding these up and dividing them by 4, because he had 4 tests. So let's do that. So the problem would look like this, and the reason we put parentheses is because we want to add the test scores first and then divide it by however many tests he did. And he did 4 tests, so add 75 plus 98 plus 92 plus 83, which is going to give you 348. And now we can divide 348 by 4, which is going to give us 87. So the average score Ryan scored was 87. Try writing an expression and solving it for the following scores to try and find the average of the scores. Pause the video, solve it, and then resume when you're ready. So let's do what we did like the last problem. 85 plus 90 plus 78 plus 89 plus 93 divided by, so let's count how many numbers there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So divided by 5. And when you add all of this together, you get 435. So we put 435, and now we can divide by 5, which is going to give us 87. Now we'll move on to part 4, which is evaluating numerical expressions with real-world example. So let's say Rachel's garden has a parameter of 10.5 plus 25 plus 37 plus 16 feet. We want to know the perimeter of Tana's garden, which is twice as big. So to find Tana's, the perimeter of her garden, we have to solve this expression. 2 times 10.5 plus 25 plus 37 plus 16. This is Rachel's perimeter of her garden, and Tana's is 2 times bigger, so we have to multiply that by Rachel's perimeter of her garden. So first we should add, and when we add this all together, we will get 88.5. And now we have to multiply by 2, which we get 177. So Tana's perimeter of her garden is 177 feet. Now here's an expression for you guys to solve. Pause this video, and when you're done, resume this video. So first we have to add these up. So the answer to that will be 60 times 2, which is going to be 120. So the garden's parameter is 120 feet. I hope you guys learned something new. If you did, drop a like and hit that subscribe button. And write down in the comments below how many problems you got right. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.